All right. This meeting is being recorded tonight, and so if there's any of your residents or neighbors who didn't have the opportunity to participate in tonight's meeting, we will post it on our Ward 4 website, and so you guys will have the opportunity to see that at a later time or go back and re-listen to the meeting. So I just wanted to thank everybody for participating today and joining us. We have several of the neighbors on this call, as well as a lot of our City of Tucson staff and team who've been making this project a success for us. So we really appreciate everybody being here today. What I'm going to do, I didn't do this the last time, but I think it would be helpful for everybody to know who's on this call. So after I do a quick little intro and just do a quick recap of last meeting and what we're about to talk about today, I'm going to go quickly through the group and just have you guys, say your name and if you're a resident or if you work for our Department of Transportation and Mobility, what you do with the Transportation and Mobility Department. So just really quickly, for those of you who weren't able to participate last time or maybe had some technical issues from the last meeting, we were on Microsoft Teams, and so I apologize if that didn't work as well as Zoom for some. We really tried hard to do this meeting in person tonight. Unfortunately, with Omicron in the cases, we just thought it would be best with everything going on to keep everybody safe, to keep the meeting virtual. So we're super excited that everybody is here tonight with us. At the last meeting, we spoke about a few different things, really about the landscaping along Houghton Road between Rita Road and Marianne Cleveland Oldvale, whichever you call it. And specifically with several of the houses along that corridor and the view sheds, with the road being raised, and how we can position our landscaping in a way that can be meaningful for you guys to be able to block some of the visual that you guys are experiencing looking out the backs of your homes. So have some privacy mitigation as well. So the team came together with some great creative ideas, and they proposed some different landscaping opportunities for us. And so at the last meeting, they showed us 3 different proposals. One was the existing landscaping plan. One was to add trees that weren't as mature, but would get very large over, 5 years or so. And then the other one would be to do larger, more mature trees. So what we had asked at the last meeting for this meeting was to come back and show us a couple of things, what the mature trees would look like. What do they look like throughout different types of years? So when it's winter, are we just looking at twigs, or are we looking at a tree? Another thing was to look at the map along the corridor and show the houses along that corridor, so you guys can see specifically what is going to be planted behind your back wall. That was really important to all of us to be able to give you that visual. And so we have David here with the Department of Transportation and Mobility, and he's going to go ahead and walk us through all of that. But before we start, David, why don't we just go quickly and super fast around the room and just give everybody a moment to say who they are and what they do. And if everybody can do me a favor, and it's going to be hard, but if you can keep yourself muted until it's your time to speak, because we do get some feedback we're noticing. So if that would be helpful. So Rudy and Ann, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. If you guys could just let us know.
Please re-enter your meeting ID.
Your residents.
Fantastic. And David, you're next.
Hi, I'm David Mulhoeffer. I'm the landscape architect for the Department of Transportation and Mobility.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. Please enter the meeting password followed by pound.
Teresa, you're muted.
Teresa, you're muted, I think.
That's helpful. Mark, you're next. Sorry.
You
I'm a resident.
Fantastic. It's nice to meet you. Fred,
Yes,
are you a resident or are you with the city? And I apologize that I do not know the answer.
what?
Are you joining us today? Are you a resident along the corridor?
I'm sorry, I can't understand.
Okay, do you live along the Houghton corridor?
8801 South Desert Rainbow Drive.
Fantastic. Thank you, Fred. It is nice to meet you. And Robin?
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Robin Rain. I'm with the Department of Transportation Mobility, one of the deputy directors.
Fantastic. And Michael Graham.
Hi there, Mike Graham. I'm the Public Information Officer with the City of Tucson Department of Transportation and Mobility.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks for all you do. Colton, you're next.
I am a resident.
Fantastic. Nice to meet you. Let's see. We all know Al Wyruth.
Al Wyruth, President of Rio Ranch Neighborhood Association, resident of Rio Ranch.
Thanks for being here, Al. And Lori.
Hi, I'm Lori Lance. I work with Gordley Group. We do public outreach on behalf of the City of Tucson. This is a wonderful turnout. And thank you, Teresa, for hosting this meeting.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure, Lori. Benjamin.
Hi, I'm a resident. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Mr. Bailey. Is this Michael Marietti?
Marietti, City Project Manager for this job.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Erica.
Hello, Erica Frizzell, Public Information Officer with the City of Tucson Department of Transportation and Mobility.
Thanks for being here, Erica. Sherry?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry Martin. I'm an engineering manager with the City of Tucson Department of Transportation and Mobility.
Thanks, Sherry. And Amanda.
Hi, good evening. Amanda Valenzuela, the Public Information Coordinator with the City of Tucson Department of Transportation and Mobility.
Thank you. And it looks like we have one person who called in. It's not you, Al. It's another caller. So I don't know if you're able to unmute by hitting *6. And if I forgot anybody, I apologize. Everybody's names and things are moving around the screen. So why don't we go ahead and get started really quick since we kind of understand who's all here today. Thank you so much for coming again. And I'm going to go ahead and kick it on over to David.
I have a little bit of trouble sharing screen here for some reason. I get something that pops up and says host disabled participants screen sharing. Is there a way we can make it so that I can share?
You're sharing right now. I see you, David.
Let me see what I can do. I apologize for this. If you want to start kind of talking it through while I'm figuring this out,
Sure. So as of the last meeting, if everybody could mute, that would be helpful. I'm getting a lot of feedback. So I can see that. Maybe Rudy and Fred. Let me see. Is it that better? Okay, I'm not getting the feedback now, so I think it was just the one. So it's still not sharing screen. So anyway, after the last meeting, there was consensus with the people that were in the meeting that they wanted a mix of some larger trees and some smaller trees. And so we had some graphics that we showed what it might look like with those trees up against the wall. I don't have access to those at this moment, but what I will be sharing with you is I'm going to go through the plan that's in an aerial, and I'll be able to zoom in behind each residence. We have the addresses marked on the plan itself, and we can zoom in and take a look. What I did was I actually went out to the site with the plans in my hand, and I marked up the plans where there was existing trees that were on the plan. If there was existing trees that were on the plan that weren't there anymore, I crossed them off. I made note of trees and plants that were behind the wall in the residents' properties. And based on that, I pieced together the plan as to where larger trees and smaller trees and extra trees should go to create the greatest visual screening for you from the roadway. And let me see if I can get, it's still not able to share. It says host disabled.
I'm going to interrupt real quick, Teresa. If
Yep.
you click your share screen on your end, it'll give you two little options, and one says let multiple screens share.
Can you say that again a little bit louder?
Click share screen on your
Yep.
end.
Yep.
And then two little options pop up. Click share multiple screens.
Let me, it's not doing that. Let me log out, come in as the admin and reassign that.
Appreciate your patience, folks.
And as a reminder, if everybody could please mute Fred, I see that you're Fred Weinmiller, you're unmuted. That will help with the presentation. Thank you.
We had success.
Sorry about that, you guys.
Okay, can everybody see the tree on the screen?
Yes, David, we can see it.
Okay,
Looks
great.
good.
Okay, so this is the type of tree that is going to be used to help screen the view to Houghton Road, the new alignment. This is a velvet mesquite tree. This is actually really close to the project site. This is in the shopping center, right next to the EGs that's there. So you can drive down and take a look at it yourself if you'd like to do that. This was taken just a few weeks ago, so you can see the amount of leaves that are on this tree right now. So this is called Semi-Deciduous. So this is about the most that the leaves will fall off of this tree. These trees in the shopping center are on irrigation, a permanent irrigation system. They will also be on a permanent irrigation system on our project. So they will be doing really well, a lot better than the mesquite trees that you see in the desert that aren't on any kind of permanent irrigation. The section of Houghton Road from the bridge to I-10 is on a temporary irrigation system. So the trees and the shrubs and things in that area are actually getting a lot less water than the trees in our section of the project will be getting. So this is actually a tree that's closer to the road. It was pruned up a little bit, so you can see under the tree a little bit. That is EGs in the background. You can see the aqua stripe across the top of the building. So that kind of gives you an idea of the size of these trees. And I'd say these trees were probably put in 3 years ago, and they were probably put in as a 15-gallon size. This is the same type of tree. It's actually right next to the tree, and I'll show you the picture in a minute. right next to with the two trees right next to each other. This tree is actually a little bit downhill from where the other tree was. It has not been pruned. It's very full, as you can see. So this kind of gives you an idea, and we won't be pruning trees that aren't right next to the sidewalk unless it causes some kind of disturbance or we get a request to go and prune. So basically, this is kind of how the level of the fullness of the tree that you'll be seeing. And then in the warmer months, it's actually going to be more full because these trees do drop their leaves during this time of year. And you can see that they're right next to each other here. This is the non-pruned tree, and this is the tree that was pruned. And you can see how full they are, the kind of screening that they provide. And I actually went down to the nursery and I took a picture. These are the larger trees that we're going to be installing in some of the places. So I had the woman that was showing me around down at the nursery actually stand on top of the pot so you could get an idea of how tall these trees are as they're going to be going in. The woman is 5'10". So these trees are, we're looking at 11, 12 feet, anywhere from 10 to 12 foot range. And this is a white thorn acacia. This is another one of the trees that's proposed to be put in to help with screening. This was also taken at a similar time. This is also on irrigation. It's this shrubby looking thing in the center. They can be pruned up into trees, but we won't be doing that unless it gets too close to the sidewalk for some reason, and then we'll prune it up. These are the things that we're going to be adding to the plan, along with the things that were already existing, the understory plants. And I'll switch over to that. Okay, can you see the plan now? Somebody give me a shout out.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So this is the actual landscape plan, the planting plan for the project. And this is the unedited version, except for the fact that we did put addresses in here so that you could see where we are and what we're talking about. So this is the first page. The Rita Ranch is over here to the left side, and the shopping center starts here. So you can get a sense of where we're at. So this page, actually, the houses in this area are upslope. So they are up above the road, and there's not really a reason to add additional landscape beyond what is on this plan currently, because they're uphill and they're looking out over the top of the road. This is the next page, and you can see the addresses here. And again, there's a portion of this plan where it's still uphill. And then it actually changes in about this area where this red line is, the grade break. We go from a cut situation where we're cutting into the hill and a fill situation where we're filling towards the existing grade. So one of the things that I'd like to explain is when you see these colors, they represent the velvet mesquite that we talked about. The green is the larger tree, the 95-gallon tree. If you see a purple, it's a 15-gallon tree. And if you see the pink, it's a 15-gallon white thorn acacia. There's also some other trees that are on here. A couple of these are deciduous. So what I did was replace those with the semi-deciduous trees so that there would be some kind of leaf cover year round. And we can talk about that. And then on to the next section. You can get an idea. And what I'd like to do then is go back through here. If anybody has questions and would like me to zoom in on a specific property, we can do that.
Yes, can you zoom in on 8565, please?
8565?
8565? Yes, it was your third.
8565.
There to the left there.
Sure. So you can see here, if you can mute again, that would be helpful.
Mute again.
Okay, excellent. So here behind 8565, the original plan has a foothills Palo Verde in here. And then there was also, if we go back, let's see what the original plan had. 8565. So you had some velvet mesquites and the foothills Palo Verde. So what was added in then? We added an additional velvet mesquite. And what I did was I went and I stood on the sidewalk, essentially looking at each property, the different vegetation that was in here, the existing vegetation that's on the other side of the wall. And I factored all that in into the decision making. So there is a large 95-gallon tree going in this section to fill in these gaps. There's also, because of the vegetation that's behind the wall and on this side of the wall, there's a lot of coverage on 8565 already, and then we'll also be adding the 15-gallon velvet mesquites in this area also. And then on the property line, there's another 95-gallon tree that'll be going in. Along with, there's some ocotillos going in and some other understory vegetation. There's some vegetation that's going to be going in between the sidewalk and the street in this area also. Does that help? Okay. Did anyone else have any questions on their
I do have a general question and request. Will these plans be available online to review and to potentially comment on?
Yes, we can make them available to you.
That would be excellent.
I had a question.
Sure.
8437.
8437. So 8437 is in an area. Oh, 8437 is in an uphill condition. So there's an existing tree here and it's uphill. So the view out over the top of the wall will actually looks out over the road. So the original plan is what we'll be putting in. We'll be adding 2 of the 15-gallon basic desert willow trees in this area. They're deciduous, so they will drop leaves in the winter, so you'll have the view of the mountains, but they will also have leaves and flowers on them for a long period during the year.
So it's going to pretty much block the view.
During the summer, they're 15-gallon trees. These are a hybrid desert willow, so they don't get as tall as the native desert willow. They get to about 15 feet. So they won't be blocking your view that much. Plus, you're already in an uphill condition in this area.
Okay. Now I take it the circles with the plus signs are the existing tree, right?
Exactly, sir. Exactly.
Okay, because that one's more or less kind of misplaced, but okay.
Yeah, where they fall on the plan, when these were originally laid out, these were laid out with the aerial as it is, and it's kind of guesswork as to where the trunk falls because the canopy can be a different shape.
Because that 8445, that tree behind there is more or less on the boundary, pretty closer to the boundary line.
There is actually,
Right
it looks
there.
like there's another one right in this area that got missed.
Okay.
So on the uphill slopes, I did not go back and verify where the existing things were, just because I knew we weren't going to be changing the plan in that regard. So I didn't go and make sure that all the existing things were on the plan on the uphill slopes.
Okay. Now I have one question.
Sure.
Concerning the existing trees. and what's going to be done as far as maintenance, trimming, because those two trees, because that one's closer over, actually extend over my wall, and my HOA, they're telling me that, well, the city's going to take it over. We don't know who's in charge right now, so they won't do anything as far as trimming the branches that are over my back wall.
We haven't had any discussions in regard to the disposition of the maintenance of those trees. Those trees were planted by the HOA and are maintained by the HOA. And as far as I know, they will continue to be maintained by the HOA. I believe there is an irrigation system in place for those trees. I may be wrong on that, but the city will maintain the trees and the plants that the city has planted. And Rudy, are you trying to talk?
Yes, this is Rick. With HOA in this neighborhood, we were told to get back in the designs and once the city started on corridor from the wall they're on for into the landscaping. That's why the HOA has said they're waiting for the city to do their thing. And also, my other question would be around this. You're going to provide gravel or some sort from the walkway all the way up to the walls, all the way along the whole corridor.
Rudy, I'm having a lot of trouble understanding. If you have a question that you have type in the chat, that would be helpful. And if you could mute, for some reason your connection's giving a lot of feedback, and I don't know if it's just for me or for everyone in the meeting.
Yeah, David, it did have a lot of feedback. I think give us a shake of the head or a thumbs up, Rudy, or a thumbs down. It sounded like you were asking about gravel, if there'd be like decorative gravel along this corridor as well. Yeah.
So as far as the plans show, I believe that the gravel goes to the wall, and it will go under the existing trees as well, so that there's continuity on the project. And if you drive the project currently, you can see we have started to lay down some rock already, so you'll get an indication of what that rock's going to look like. There's finer rock in the medians, and there's what we call a desert cobble mix on the shoulders. And then some of the areas will also have seed mix mixed in with that, so that there'll be more of a native looking vegetation in those areas. Did anyone else have questions about specific properties?
Yeah, I'd like to see 8843.
8843. So you can see here at 8843, there's a very large existing tree in this area. There's also some vegetation within the yard. So there's proposed on this property line to the north, a larger tree going in, a larger velvet mesquite. There's also a 15-gallon desert willow that's going to be going in. And there's also, excuse me, 2 white thorn acacias that we'll be putting in there as well. The white thorn acacias, the mature height of those is about 10 feet, and they fill out pretty well when they're on existing, or when they're on permanent irrigation. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
And there's some understory plants under the desert willow as well, so there'll be some additional planting in there. Anyone else have questions about specific properties or just in general?
How about 8801?
8801?
Yes.
So 8801. So on, let's look at your original first. 8801, we had some Foothills Palo Verde in here. And what we went with after looking at that, there's still Foothills Palo Verde. There's some existing trees here that are there. This looks like an existing tree, but it's not. It was either shrubs or something, or it was taken out during construction. So there will be 195 gallons going in this area, along with the 2 Foothills Palo Verdes on the side. So the coverage, the Foothills grow a little bit slower. We'll be putting those in as 15-gallon size, but the 95-gallon will be going in at the size that I showed you that had the woman standing on the plant. Now, these are all going to take a little bit of time to fill out, and it is going to require some patience on your part, but putting in the larger trees will get that fullness a little bit higher, a little bit quicker. Anyone else?
David, Rudy put in the chat, he said that the HOA was told that the city would maintain the existing trees from the wall to the sidewalk. That's actually the first I had heard of that, and that would be different than what we've done before, like Savano and some other neighborhoods. So we'll have to circle back with you on that. I'm not sure who maybe told them that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Typically, we don't take care of existing HOA trees. And also, usually we only maintain the trees that are planted by the city. It's part of the contract, actually. For 2 years after this project is complete, the contractor is on the hook essentially for 2 years to make sure that the plants are alive and that the garbage is cleaned up. I personally go myself and I walk the entire project looking for dead plants, looking at trash, looking at things that are supposed to be covered in what we call the landscape establishment period.
Perfect. He also had a question. This actually, if nobody else had any other questions, this kind of leads into the next phases. He wanted to know what the time frame would be for completion.
So that's going to depend. We had a comment about putting these up for sharing and things like that. So right now, we could get this started pretty quickly and get this moving pretty quickly. As soon as we have a finalized that everybody's on board, and if they're okay with this plan, we can roll forward with that. And that's kind of what the contractor is waiting for. They're waiting for us to give them a final, okay, this is what we got. And then we can give everyone else a better indication of how long that will take.
And to be frankly honest, we need to move quickly because they've been ready to do the landscaping for close over a month now. And so we've kind of put them on hold. And we all know that when we put things on hold, the price just keeps going up, and we need to get those trees planted if we want those big ones. So it's going to be after we finish the presentations, because I know that Robin's going to be speaking tonight about some other things, and we want to make sure everybody gets their questions answered. But at the end of this meeting, it would be great to get kind of the consensus and feel, because if we feel like we're on the right track with the landscaping piece, there's another piece to this as well. But if we feel like we're on the right track with the landscaping piece, we need to kind of get going on that so we can purchase those trees and really start getting that solidified. It looks like Rudy just put another question into the chat. Is there any vegetation plan for the east side of Houghton?
Yes, you can see that we do have landscape on the east side. There's some vegetation between the multiple use path and the roadway and little little clumps and gaps as we move along. And there are also some trees planted on the hillside. They are starting that, I believe, next week. They've actually started laying in some irrigation today on the north end of the project. You'll see them out there with their ditch witch, and they are starting to move forward on the east side. So yes, there is vegetation for the east side. They were trying to get the west side completed and the medians completed and then move to the east. So now that we have this piece that we're holding off, they are moving forward and they're starting to install the landscape on the eastern portion.
Is there any other questions before we move over to Robin? Or David, did you have anything else that you needed to share?
I don't. If anyone has any questions, though, feel free to contact me. You can email me with any questions that you have, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Fantastic. If you can put your email in the chat, that would be great for everybody.
I will do that. Thanks.
Thanks. Great. And then I think if you're ready, Robin, we can go ahead and kick it on over to you. Robin's going to answer one of the questions that came up at the end of last meeting. Al Wyruth, the president of the neighborhood association, had asked about the possibility of the city being able to pay to raise the brick walls in the back of your home. So your existing wall, what that possibility might be if neighbors chose to do so. So we're going to go ahead and kick that over to Robin.
Okay, I unmuted myself. Can everyone hear me?
We can.
Loud and clear.
Oh, good. Okay. So what we've done some research, and we can use about $2,000 per home for this kind of a reimbursement. So that number is based on estimates that were given to us by contractors for approximately 2 layers of block on an existing block wall. And it's a little on the chubby side. In other words, we didn't go with the base bottom cost that we could find. This was a number that that our internal finance staff was okay with. So it's a limit, an upper limit. We'll have a form that those people who choose this will be able to fill out for reimbursement, and it'll include things like the need to have a qualified contractor, and that language isn't quite worked out yet, so we don't have the application right now. But just so you can rest easy, the deadline for turning in those reimbursement forms will be the end of this calendar year, so it's almost a year away. So we're working on the form, and if you want to hold off a few weeks, if that's what you choose to get your contractor, then you'll be able to see the form and you'll be able to see more exactly what it is that that we're needing the contractors to be who they are, and for the things that you'll need to tell us about them. Lastly, I want to double sure you heard that the deadline is the end of the year. So mainly we want to make sure that we know that you've done the work, you've got the invoice, you've got the proper contractor, and then we'll be able to do that. But I wait that you don't try to send that information right out, because we'll have a form with all the ways to prove your contractor's qualified and all that stuff. So any questions?
Robin, this is Al Wyruth. I have a question for you. What happens if the people have already had the work done by a contractor, and if that person may not be on your qualified list, would they still have the opportunity to submit and get a reimbursement up to $2,000 by the end of the year?
They would still have an opportunity, and if the contractor was not licensed, for example, then I'm sure there would be some way, a waiver or something that that could be worked out. Our preference, of course, is that qualified contractors are used, because then the walls are more likely to be permanent.
Thank you.
So Teresa, I did add my email into the chat. If anyone has questions, they can feel free to email me, and if they leave their phone number, I'll even be glad to call them back if they would like to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So we're going to leave it open just for a couple more minutes here to see if anybody else had any questions. But just as a recap, you guys kind of saw the landscaping plan. You saw what the trees are going to look like, and that we're going to invest in much bigger trees than originally proposed from your request from the last time. And in addition to that, if the resident chose to hire a contractor to raise their back wall, the city would reimburse them up to $2,000. Again, Robin explained that the logistics of that haven't quite been worked out yet. And so what we'll do most likely is mail them to every home on this corridor. And so you will be receiving information in the mail for that. That's probably the best way for us to ensure that every household, receive the information, and you will have until the end of this calendar year to be able to do that.
I see a question about a list of qualified contractors. We really would only be asking for someone who is a licensed contractor in that area. So you could ask to see any contractor's license, and they should be able to show you a license with a date that license expires.
And if you have a question, feel free to unmute and just go ahead and ask it. Would we be able to just kind of go around to the residents again and just kind of get your quick feel if it's like a thumbs up or if we're on the right track? Because it would be ideal to get those trees ordered. And so that's my main goal personally with this meeting, is to get some of those great. Thank you, Benjamin. And I saw your comment, Rudy. Colton, you think we're good?
Yes, we're forward.
Perfect. If anybody has, how about if we do it this way? If anybody has any strong concerns, please put something in the chat or do a hand raise or show your video or say something, because otherwise I'm going to take it as we're good to go. Let's get these trees ordered and let's start moving forward. And we will definitely keep you updated as we move forward, and as soon as we have the information, if you'd like to raise your brick wall. All right, I'm not hearing anything. I think that's a success. I hope you guys, I hope we did you proud. I hope we came to a conclusion that was much better for you guys in your view sheds. We heard you loud and clear, and we wanted to make it right. So we sincerely appreciate it. Oh, good question. This might be for Sherry. I'm not sure. What's the time frame on the light covers? Rudy had brought that up at the last meeting about the light covers along that corridor.
I believe they've all gone up already. If not, they are in the process of putting them all up, because they're just about done with their work. So they will be up all along the west side of Houghton, wherever there are houses.
Okay. If you're, I'll put my contact information. I work for Councilwoman Nikki Lee. I'll put my contact information in the chat too. If you're finding that you're having some light coming into your property, into your house, let us know, because we can adjust those covers accordingly as well. Did you have a question, Al? Yep. Thank you. We appreciate it, Al.
Shield. Is it a full cover shield at the back of the light, or did the shield across the whole light?
Your system was cutting out a little bit, but I believe you were asking what type of a shield it's going to be. And so, Sherry, would you be able to explain what kind of shield? And if someone else, Sherry, by the way, is better to answer this, feel free to punt it. I'm sorry. I keep calling on you.
I'm not sure. Mike might actually have a better answer than me, but it is something that we have used on other corridors such as Grant Road. I think we may have used it on Broadway as well. So it is something that we've used before and seems to be working very well to keep light from shining all over people's houses. It is directional, so we can definitely keep it directed towards the roadway.
Perfect.
Teresa,
All right.
this is David again. Is there some place that you would like me to send the plans to you so that you could make them available? The plans that we just looked at tonight, that if anyone needs to take a look at those?
That would be great. If you can email those over to me, and we'll put them on our Ward 4 website. We'll put them on our homepage in the same area that we'll put the recording of tonight's meeting. And so I apologize. I started typing and then I accidentally hit send when you called on me. I'll finish typing it here in the chat, and so everybody will have that information. Thank you for that.
Teresa, we can also provide a little more information on the exact type of shields that will be going up.
You're still muted, Teresa.
I can't multitask at this time of night, apparently. I just said that would be great. Thank you, Sherry. We'll put it all on the same post. Last minute questions or comments?
One last thing for me, Teresa, this is David again. The plans that I will be sending you will have the before and after, but it's only going to be for this section. It's not going to be for the entire length of the project. So just there'll be the sheets that you saw tonight, just so everyone knows.
Great. Well, fantastic. Thank you again to everybody for participating, for your time tonight. We sincerely appreciate it. All my contact information is right there. If you weren't able to capture that, if you just Google City of Tucson Ward 4, you'll find our website and you'll be able to contact us there. So thank you again, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. And if you have any last minute questions, feel free to pop them in or contact us. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks, Teresa.
Thanks for everything, Teresa. Appreciate everything you do.
No, thank you guys. You're the ones who are making it happen. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thanks, Teresa. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night. Thanks, Teresa. Great job.